of this bad boy because luckily I got it working a few seconds or a few minutes after I had already pushed the live button by accident. So I guess with that out of the way, let's prepare them for some more talking to the media's live magic. So we decided to do this. I said that I was going to do uploads on Thursdays and Saturdays, but I never said anything about live stuff. So live, I think as whenever it's available, whenever the feeling hits, whenever I can get Sean on with me if he's not working his butt off, because if you don't know it or not, Sean works on boats and hoes, and he's got a lot of work to do, as do I. So but I had this epiphany. This thing hit me. I was like, you know what, Sean? You just finished watching the animated series from HBO for the first. Was that the first time you ever saw it?
It was the first time I was able to sit down and watch them. I guess the word is concurrently, like back to back to back, and I binged the shit out of it. And I got to say, before we talk anymore, that's probably one of my favorite cartoons of all time, probably, I would say. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It's not perfect, guys. And here we can talk about that more, about why I don't think it's perfect. And they really ruined a golden opportunity. But anyway, continue.
But I mean, this is going to be like a binge of it. I mean, we can talk about the movie and everything. So let's run down all this stuff. We can even do a rundown of this stuff too. So let's start with I'll start with the history of it. Let's start with the comic book. I was first introduced to Spawn when I was, in high school. The comic book was circulating around.
He's even got him in his background.
Yeah. I mean, I got my favorite. You think that's bad? You know what? No, before I start this conversation, hold on. Let me go grab something real quick. When was the first time you were introduced to the character of Spawn? While you're talking about that, I'm gonna get something.
Actually, the first time I was introduced to Spawn was probably because me and Chris are around the same age. It was probably in high school, and it was on HBO. They had the series, and just recently I actually got to sit down and. Because now they're on Amazon Prime, you can watch all 3 seasons of it. And it's one of those shows that it almost seemed like they finished it in 3 seasons, and it's like they cut it off and didn't give you any finality, no answers, no solutions, just questions at the end of the 3rd season. And I don't understand it. I have no idea why they did that. It's almost like the people in charge were combating the people who own the properties, and it's like they're just like, fuck it, and they're just like just stopped it right there, just fine, you want to quit, just quit. And for the viewers, you're especially for me, because I binged this, and so I'm like so involved in this show.
You got all 3 years in a couple of days.
Yeah, and I'm like, I feel like a kid at Christmas, like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And
you should have seen how I felt. I actually went through the seasons as it was happening live. That was worse when it ended the way it did.
It was like when I watched that fucking Birdcage movie. I'm like,
we'll get into Birdcage talk.
That's the end.
But that's going back into the comic book. Let me show you what I got here. So I don't know if you can see this whole thing.
I can see it.
So what
he's got his porn in there.
Well, a little bit. That's kind of my Spawn porn here. What I got going on here?
Yeah, his Spawn books.
My Spawn. See, all right. So going through this box, let's see.
I have never seen this box, guys. So I don't know what the hell this is.
Let's see. I got where is it?
I knew Chris was into comics, but I personally never read comics. No disrespect to anybody who does. I just never had that opportunity.
I found it.
What is it? Is this a first issue, first episode, whatever?
First Spawn #1.
I guess this is worth some money.
No, not really.
See, I don't know. I'm like, when I hear this is the first issue, I'm like, ooh, it's money. Like, no.
1992. Spawn #1. I think I paid like maybe $4 or $5 for it.
Now let me ask you this.
You see the price right there?
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Chris. Was this given to you when it was new, like back then, or was this a?
This was. I'm the only owner of this book. I put it in this protective cover here. What happened was I was starting to. I think I was starting to watch the cartoon, and I was like, I'm gonna start collecting the comic book. And by the time I started buying them, I think they were like, I don't know where they were in 1997, because it was like 92 when they started.
So you started when the show started.
I started when the show started.
Okay.
It was probably somewhere around here, maybe. Like, I don't know what number this is, number 82 somewhere. And so then I had to go back. I had to go back to the comic book store. I think it was
it'd been sitting in the store for a while, I guess.
Maybe it could have been shipped from another store. Maybe there was a previous owner. I don't know for 100%. And they probably turned it in for some trade-ins.
Do you think it would be hard to find now?
No, it's not hard. No, Spawn #1 isn't hard to find. It's not that rare of a book. Maybe in another 50 years, maybe the 20, 30 years. Maybe.
Don't hold your breath, guys.
Yeah, if let's say if that Spawn movie comes out and it's a big mega hit, maybe the value of this book could go up. I think I think the last time I looked it up, I think it was at like $10, maybe between $5 to $10, depending on where you buy it from, the condition that it's in. But it's not one of those rare. It was rare because it was Image Comics was an independent. It was the way they did things was very low key. I mean, they were trying to compete with Marvel, their previous bosses, and DC, their previous bosses for a lot of those artists. They band together. They were like, you know what? We're not getting the credit that we deserve as being the creators of these new characters and whatnot. We create a new character and we're licensed under Marvel. Marvel's going to get the rights to Spawn. Todd McFarlane had the idea for Spawn for years. Since he was a teenager, he was drawing Spawn. And he worked for DC, he worked for Marvel, and he was doing a lot of good work for them. And if I remember correctly, he always had that fear in the back of his head. I could give Stan Lee, I can give the editor, whoever is in charge right now, I can show them my Spawn comic book. If they like it,
they'll take it.
That's it. It's the second we sign this piece of paper and you put him in a Marvel character book, you've lost it for life. And you would have seen Batman. No, I don't mean not Batman. You would have seen Spider-Man and all these people kicking it with Spawn and doing all this shit, amazing stuff and whatnot. And he would never have gotten his recognition for it.
I'm glad it went down this way, just because. And I don't know much about comic, but from what I've seen from the comic book movies, this is so different from the other stuff I've seen in a good way.
It was. They weren't trying to be a part of that comic book code and all those old school rules and things like that.
Yeah, it's like this is a comic book for adults.
Yeah, it was really trying to, and that's what they were pushing. And if you read or listen to the audible book of that big class slugfest between DC and Marvel, they talk about Spawn and them a little bit, because around 91, 92, when Todd was working on Spider-Man and doing Todd McFarlane was the first, if I remember correctly. Guys, forgive me. I'm a Spawn fan. He's my favorite comic book character right there with Spider-Man, but I don't know the full history that well. But if I remember correctly, Todd McFarlane was the first person to draw Spider-Man in those weird, like not even human like poses where he's doing those acrobatic leg all the way up there and the other hand all the way down there, weird poses that we see Spider-Man doing now. That's like real crazy and stretchy and flexible. Todd was the first. At first, Spider-Man was doing leaps and jumps and kicks here and there, but Todd like had that pinky toe way the fuck over there, and the other hand way stretched out and flexed out there, and doing these weird stretches and bends that Spider-Man never did before. And I don't know if you have time. Look up Venom. If you have on your phone or something like that, look at. So while Todd McFarlane was thinking about possibly giving Spawn to Marvel, they asked him to come up with a new character, villain for Spider-Man while he was working at the time. He came up with the idea for Venom. Now
Todd came up with Venom.
Here's why. Check this out. Look at. All right, you got a picture of Venom, the comic book Venom or the cartoon, not the movie. Now the one with the spider on his chest.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it before.
Yeah, you got your phone up?
I'm looking it up right now.
I'm trying to find a good picture of Spawn here. Some kind of a full shot if I can find it.
He does kind of look like have that same.
All right. So you got your Venom up, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Can you show it to the camera a little bit at all? Let me say something real quick. Let me see if I can get this. All right, let me see what his chest looks like. Show me your chest, Venom.
He's got the spider design.
Right.
He's got those
See,
plates on his eyes.
Look at that spider design. Now look at this.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you can definitely tell the inspiration between those two. They're very similar.
Not only that, I mean, Spawn is Todd McFarlane's creation. That's his baby. So he wanted to make sure the world knew that. Todd McFarlane, his last name is McFarlane. What do you see on Spawn's chest?
Is it M?
Now look at Venom's chest.
Oh, it is kind of an M too, isn't it?
That's an M. Yep.
So Todd McFarlane came up with Venom?
Yep. And it's a property of Marvel. It's
well, two of my favorite comic characters in one dude. That's cool.
Yeah. Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, a lot of those dudes that broke away from DC and a lot of them went back as well when the deals got a lot better. They couldn't deny their popularity anymore. At first, it was weird because Marvel was known for breaking the rules and giving the artists and writers the credit that they deserve. But the one thing that Marvel did do that DC was known for and pissed off a lot of people for was when the character was created, even if Marvel was breaking the rules and giving the artists and the writers their recognition, hey, you like this writer? Here's more of their stuff. We're letting you know who this person is. DC never let you do that. Marvel did. Yeah, we'll let you know that Todd McFarlane drew this, but that character he invented, I invented that. Fuck that. That's my character. I don't care if Todd McFarlane was working on Spider-Man, and then at the same time, a little bit later, Venom appeared.
When did Venom appear? Was it in the 80s?
It was in early 90s, late 80s, maybe. I want to say Venom got his own book in the 90s, but I think it was the 90s that Venom came out. It had to be because that's when Marvel. That's when Todd McFarlane was working for Marvel. Late 80s, early 90s, and
it's the 80s. Let's see here. It says May of 1988. So he appeared in 88, right before 1990.
Okay, so that's when Venom appeared, and that's when they band together, and they knew. They were like, "Hey, dude, if we have all these great ideas, and if we give them to Stan and all guys, they're gonna take it, and they'll let them know we drew it at the time and whatnot. But as far as who owns it, it'll be theirs for life." And they said, "Screw that." That's one of the things I respect about Todd McFarlane and Image Comics right now to this very day. Image Comics, you can go to www.imagecomics.com right now, and you can see there's a lot of books. There's another big, huge TV show that you would probably not even know came from Image Comics, The Walking Dead, an original from Image Comics.
That's what he helped come up with The Walking Dead, huh?
No. That's the guy who came up with The Walking. That's a different guy. But I got the first Walking Dead book in here somewhere. But Todd McFarlane, when he was doing his homage to a bunch of classic comic
Spawn
books
of the Dead.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them in here where Todd was giving homage to a bunch of classic comic book covers. I think he even has the one where Superman was holding up the car, the first Superman comic book, and it's Spawn holding up a car that he just like wrecked, and the guy's like crashing through the windshield, dying.
He really likes these capes. Like if you look at this here on the screen, he really likes the way those big capes flapping in the wind, especially with Spawn. That's Batman he worked on.
Yeah, he was waiting to get that gig with Batman. Let me see if I can find that book. The where Batman had to go to, I think Batman had to go to New York City to investigate a murder, and the Clown and Joker, I think, teamed up.
What the Violator?
Yeah,
the character.
All
they call him is Clown, and I don't even think they reference him as the. I don't remember them referencing him as.
He called himself Clown in the animated series.
No, I mean Violator. I don't remember if he actually called himself Violator, or maybe he did.
I want to say in season 1, yeah, he did. Well, I don't remember. I remember that. It's been so long since I've seen the season, and since you've watched it again and watched, now I feel like I got to watch it again because I still remember that conversation. He splits
his body open, and then he doesn't actually speak with a big mouth. He
he speaks through telepathy, and that was one of the cool things they did with the comic book. Oh, and the cartoon. I mean, and the way they did his eyes, it was like when he moved the eyes, those little patterns in the eyes stayed there, but it was like an effect that was so cool in the cartoon that I wish they would have did in the movie. But I remember that conversation that he said. He threatened the clown, and he's like, "I don't think you know who you're talking to. Maybe it's time I'll let you know." And then Spawn was like, "Look here, fat boy." And then when he transformed,
you think I like being stuck in this body?
Yo, man, he said, "You lost, you assholes. I don't think you realize who you're dealing with. It's time that I teach you. Time that I teach you a lesson." But in the movie,
imagine Danny DeVito as a Violator when he was younger.
Oh, he would have been a great clown. But John Leguizamo,
he was good.
Did
he
a
was
good
good.
job.
He killed it
for the 90s. Yeah, it was good. But oh man, we'll get into that for the future. But let's you said your first experience with Spawn was the animated series. Mine was the comic books, I think, and I led into the animated series. I was a huge fan of that series, and in the middle of that. That's when in 97, I believe it was. Was it 97 or 99 that the movie came out?
I think it was 97. Let's see here.
Because I think the animated series started with 96.
It was very close to when they brokered a deal for HBO because it was hot.
Yeah. Yeah. The property was hot. It was the #1 comic book for years.
It was 97. Yeah, it was 97.
It was #1 for years. And they did a rated R version and I saw the rated R version of that movie. It was just the difference was when he was first being attacked by the cops and they was stuck on the wall, and he realized he can do those Spawn stickers, suction cups on the wall instead of going like, "This is great." I think then he goes, "Holy shit!" Like that was one big break from PG-13. I think they showed more blood, obviously. But it was 90s comic book time, man. I mean, a lot of them were great, but if you watch them today, you can.
Some of them are really terrible.
But I had to give it up to Todd, man, because at the time, I was thinking, my God, you are a fucking idiot, dude. Why are you making this PG-13? And even his explanation at the time was to me stupid. But today made sense because he goes, if it's PG-13, more people could see it, and everybody knew that, but nobody cared. Hollywood didn't care because it was like, this is a rated R property. We bought it for a reason. We knew it was going to be bloody and rated R. Let's give the hardcore fans what they want. Todd was like, no, fuck that. I've told this story on the comic book and in the cartoon too many times. I'm bored with it already. I want to see if I can make a movie about hell and make it PG-13.
I think
because nobody's done that before.
I think that they came to a compromise. Them saying,
"Oh yeah, the compromise
when it's on HBO,
I got the number one.
You can do whatever you want, but when it comes out of the box office, it's got to be PG-13."
That's the misconception. HBO had nothing to do with Paramount.
But I'm saying you would think that they would be like, well, or at least psychologically, he'd be like, well, you know what, fuck it, I got my animated show, I can do this however I want to do it.
That's the right answer because I've seen Todd on interview. He explained this. This was back in 97 and 98.
Like the movie was a cash grab. You know, I had my animated series.
Well, that's what he said. He said on it was on one of those interviews. He said that the movie, he looked at the movie screen as a giant T-shirt that moved and talked. That's it. This is all about marketing and advertisement. He said, I got to get my baby out there. I got him on the comic books. I got him in the cartoons. I got him on the goal was to make what did he say in this interview? He says, my grandmother that hasn't read a comic book in her whole entire life.
Accessible.
But if you walk into my grandmother's house right now, a woman who's never read a comic book a day in her life, and you say, do you know who Superman is? She'll go, yeah, I know the fuck who Superman is. Everybody knows who Superman is, of course. But if you go to her and say, do you know who Spawn is? She's like, no, don't. Who the fuck is Spawn? That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to get his character to that Superman, Batman, Spider-Man level, to where people who didn't read comic books would know, oh yeah, fuck, everybody knows Spawn. But I mean, Superman is
a couple decades behind, you know.
Couple decades, yeah, right there. You're a couple decades behind, for one. You don't have you got the whole hell thing going on for you.
He's got a few thousand competitors that came before him.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. For the longest
Superman is iconic. I mean, he was like
that's
Superman.
that's the first superhero. I mean,
Superman.
to the standards that we call a comic book superhero today, Superman was the first. Batman was literally the second, and Wonder Woman was the third. So that's it. Those are your Mount Rushmore of comic book superheroes. Superman, the Trinity. To get Spawn to that level, for one, it couldn't be from hell. I mean, this is a very religious country.
You know what? You know what I would like to see? I would like to see Netflix broker a deal for a rated R 10-part Spawn series.
You're speaking my language right there, man.
Because the movie, it's 2 hours and they'll chop it up so bad. I don't want that. I want because Netflix has the budget and the professional people to do this right. Mm-hmm. I want a 10 to 20. Let's say 10. Let's say 10 is a nice number. 10 hours of Spawn rated R or unrated in 4K HDR on Netflix.
I just picked a book at random. I'm hoping I got it right, but I know I didn't. There was a time where Spawn was, I guess he had enough of what was going on in New York, and he traveled the country, and he would appear like a ghost or a boogeyman, and that, which is what a phantom, which is what Todd McFarlane, how he's always seen his character, not as a superhero, but as a ghostly phantom boogeyman, and there was a couple of issues where it arced where he did that. He would just appear wherever shit just went down. And I think I told you the story where there was a couple of kids who were sexually assaulted and murdered this girl, and they tried to blame it on some random black guys or blame it on each other, just lying their ass off to get out of trouble. And Spawn handled it the way he wanted to handle it. He's always said that after his movie came and gone and the failure of that, if he was to make a sequel or a reboot, that he would want his character to be a boogeyman, like hard R, that would focus mostly on Sam and Twitch and just be a detective story where Spawn would be in the background. And that's kind of what he says is happening like right now for the one with Jamie Foxx that he's working on with Blumhouse.
Twitch. You got to tell the people who Twitch is, because I know who Twitch is.
For those of you who don't know Twitch, and if you're listening to and watching or talking to the history of Spawn thing, you probably didn't don't come to me and Sean for like an education of everything about Todd McFarlane.
But he's important. He's an important character.
He's a great guy. I love Todd McFarlane. He's my favorite guy, but I don't know I'm not gonna get into the whole canon of everything.
At least to be introduction who he is,
because everybody at Comic-Con is be like, no, actually, Chris, and in issue 113, you can clearly see this.
I'll say this. Twitch is a cop who is like, he's not really, but he plays the part. He's kind of like one of those guys in the show that he knows he's a badass, but he also knows he doesn't have to show everybody he's a badass. He just gets the job done. He's like one of the underling cops, but he has all the answers. He's the best detective on the force. Apparently, he's kind of like Rambo too, because
he has a past.
He's this skinny
little. You know who Twitch reminds me of? Alfred, Batman's butler. People don't realize that they've changed Alfred's past so much that he wasn't always that though, but he became that. It just made sense. This guy decided to let Bruce Wayne become a vigilante.
He was a British SAS, I think, or something back in the day.
So they changed Alfred's background a little bit, and it kind of mimics that. Twitch reminds me of like Dexter. He's one of those guys where you don't see him coming. You would always underestimate him when you first look at him. But if you put him in that situation where it's time to act, you put him in a corner.
Twitch is a savage.
There's that remember that episode in the animated series where he walks into the alley, bumps into Spawn, and he's like, "Are you threatening me?" And he's like, what would you do about it?
In the eyes.
He says something to Spawn before that. He's like, I would ask that you would. He got that light Michael Jackson like voice. I would ask that you
tiny little voice.
I would ask that you would move out where I can see you very slowly, and if I don't, then I would shoot you right between the eyes. just Twitch was such a bad.
He's a nerdy little detective with these little Poindexter glasses, but really he's hard as shit. You just don't, he's got the little porn stash and.
But, yeah.
But
Sam and Twitch made a cameo in the Spawn movie, right?
I haven't seen the Spawn movie in 15, 20 years. I have to go back and watch it.
In the very end, what was the main bad guy's name?
Martin Sheen.
Well, Martin Sheen played, but he played Oh, damn.
He played
the Lex Luthor type character. What was his name?
he played the operative. He's like,
what was his name? Oh, shit. But I can't remember. Oh, damn. That's gonna bug me now. But
I know the guy's voice. Let's see here. Hold on one second. Jason Wynn.
Yeah, Jason Wynn. You know what I was about to say from Gargoyles, Jason Xanatos.
Yeah,
because the guy who voiced Wynn on the animated series is the same person who voiced Xanatos on Gargoyles. I think
his voice is so. And also David, the guy who voiced Spawn, it was also in Gargoyles too.
Yes, that's what was so cool about it. Yes, the guy who voiced Xanatos was also, I think, the voice of Jason Wynn in the Spawn animated series. That was all happening around the same time, the Disney afternoon. But the cool thing about the end of the movie was when Jason Wynn was being arrested, Martin Sheen was being arrested. It was Sam and Twitch that perp walked him out the house. It was Sam and Twitch. It was a character, a Sam and Twitch character. And he had the stash and everything, and it was supposed to be a cameo thing, but the Spawn following it was so small. For hardcore for comic book readers like me, and for people who were watching the animated series, you caught it when you saw it, and I caught it when I saw it when I first saw it on screen. I saw that it was Sam and Twitch, but even the hardcore Spawn people were like. It would have been better for a comic book that's just only at the time 6-7 years old. Like you said, Batman had that history, and Superman has that history.
He has a damn lineage.
Yeah, exactly. A generation. It would have made more sense to give Sam and Twitch speaking roles. That's what that movie was missing.
So they didn't even say, you just like saw them in the background?
You never heard their voices or anything. They just perp walked Wynn to the car. That was it. That was the only time you saw it. And that was one of the other things that McFarlane said that he was going to fix about the next Spawn movie. He said he was going to make it a detective movie. It was going to circle around Twitch mostly, but Sam and Twitch, I think. And then Spawn would be in the shadows in the background kind of helping out and doing things. And they were trying to solve it.
I've got one thing to say about Twitch and his overling. I forget his sergeant's name or whatever, but the one that's always eating. Sam. At first, I really hated that guy. But then, I know. But hold on, I really hated that guy. But then I saw how loyal he was to Twitch. Like when the shit got dirty, he was like man's best friend, loyal. Like I'll do whatever the fuck it is. No one's gonna fuck with my boy here. Like he totally flipped that shit around, and I was like, he's a good guy. Yeah, he's a good fucking guy. He's a scumbag, but he's my scumbag. You know what I'm saying? Like he's totally loyal. So now I think he's a good character.
What about that? What about that Miami Vice moment when they were in the car? Shit was about to go down. The music, and they were loading up the guns and shit. That you knew these guys.
Affirmative, sir.
Yeah, exactly. You knew it was about to go down.
Twitch is so monotone when he's getting in the zone. He's like, "Yes, sir."
We're not talking about bringing any doing any arrests or anything like that. Like you see these guys, you shoot them or some shit, and that's when he says something like affirmative. Yeah, Sam was talking some major. Sam talked all kinds of shit.
Give me some donuts, 2 dozen. I'm on a diet.
What about when he was smoking a cigarette? He accidentally put in his coffee, and he was like,
He still drank it.
Hey, yeah,
lights up another cigarette. He's such. Even the whole. I would say. About a season and a half. Like, he's such a dick. But then the third season, I think it's the third season when Twitch
see his heart.
Yeah,
like you see, shot, right?
Yeah. He's not really a bad guy.
Oh, he was pissed. I mean, when Twitch got shot, I mean, you're like,
you're gonna pull through, buddy. You're gonna pull through. We're gonna find that son of a bitch.
And then when the captain wasn't gonna,
he made the captain kill himself.
He made because
do the honorable thing.
It was the captain that did the shooting.
But they
shot him. Dude, this is how much of a bad, and let's come back to, I'm sorry, I knew we were talking about Sam, but this is how much of a badass Twitch is. The guy got shot point blank and survived. That's why a bunch of a badass
and then
Twitch
solves his own attempted murder.
Solves his own murder attempt. And oh man, Twitch is I always love Twitch.
And Sam got so pissed he was going to kill the captain, and Twitch was like, "No, you're not that kind of guy." And he's like,
fucking justice.
And he's like, "Sir, we got it." And he's got the little tape recorder.
Yeah,
he got the whole thing on conversation.
Yeah. He's like, you think that's gonna hold up?
It's like, it doesn't have to, sir. And he's like, we're going to turn this in and you can either do the right thing. And they take the bullets out of, except for one, and throw that gun that he used to shoot Twitch with.
Yeah.
Do the honorable thing and save your family. Maybe they can get your insurance money.
They can get your, maybe they'll get your fucking pension or some shit. Like, oh, yeah, take the coward's way out. Oh, man. What to do in that situation? Because
he blew his fucking brains out when the train started going out.
That's what I loved about that series, man. Because Todd really he talked about a lot of like deep things, sex, politics, all that stuff. The guy running for president, who had Billy Kincaid as his son,
with a pedophile
with the broom. Yeah, exactly. Remember that scene when Jason Wynn. Remember what he said about the president? He's like the most powerful. The most powerful is not president. The guy that's that controls the president, pulling the strings in the background, and that's what Jason Wynn a senator, or he wasn't a congressman. He was just
Jason Wynn was a Wetworks guy. He was the guy who controls all the black ops shit and all the dirty secrets and all that. He's not official.
What's that company that went through the news in real life? What was it? Blackwater, like a Blackwater type of person, right?
Kind of, yeah. They do dirty shit.
Dick Cheney shit, right? And but it was when Jason Wynn got Chappell to pick the senator up. Remember he took him out that book. He said, "I'm gonna have you up on so many goddamn charges. Your great grandchildren are gonna be answering subpoenas. You don't pull me out of the middle of the night and drag me off over."
Man, but as soon as that ramp went down in that fucking plane and Jason gets out, he's like, "Oh shit." He's like, shit. What's the problem here?
What's up, Jay? What's going on, buddy?
What's up, Jay boy?
You good? He's like, little bastard Billy's fucking with my plan. That voice, man. That Jason Wynn voice.
One last thing about Jason. Do you know? I recognize him from a different show initially, and I couldn't. I was
Gargoyles for me.
No, I was like, I know that fucking voice.
That dude's done a lot of
Trevor from Eon Flux.
Yes.
He was the bad guy from Eon Flux. So I was like, I know that voice.
That guy's got the best bad guy voice. I think he might have even done Lex Luthor a couple of times too.
I think he's not even American. I think he's Welsh or British or something. But you can make that when he speaks, he sounds so like studious, like he sounds like such a rich man speaking.
A little bastard Billy. Well, here's the line. Here's it. We're in bed together, Senator. We have been for a long time. So relax, bend over, and enjoy it. He lit the cigarette for him. He's like,
I always light my bitches cigarettes.
Oh, and how about when the clown revealed himself to Jason for the first time? And even though he knew it was a supernatural force, he was still like...
He was still talking shit a little bit.
Do as I say.
Yeah, he was still talking shit. He's like, I don't think you know what's going on here.
He's like, I think it's time for us to introduce us. Just like he did with Billy Kincaid. Hello, Billy. How do you know?
Oh, when he walked up to the ice cream truck, he's like, I'm a big fan of you.
I love ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was so creepy.
Ice cream.
He had a dirty mouth. And so do you. He killed those two agents.
Man. That was such a creepy character. He's like, I'm a big fan of your work. He's like, what? How do you know me? Said, I'm a big fan of your work.
He said, why? He said, I love the way the kids look when you're with them. He said, you like kids, don't you, Billy? Mm-hmm. I said, what? But I'm supposed to. I'm a clown. The way the whole thing read was just creepy, man. You got a satanic demon talking to a child murdering pedophile. Oh my god. They're just like having a little chat in front of an ice cream truck. The optics of that alone is just... Todd McFarlane was just like, he knew what he was doing, man. That dude knew.
The clown has some of the best lines in that whole show. He's so fucked up.
He's like, I don't think you realize what's at stake here. I mean, get with the fucking program. He said that
he'd just be rolling around on his ass laughing. He thinks everything is hysterical. Yeah, and then I didn't realize at first he was the for you guys who watch the show, he was the crazy preacher with the hand grenades.
Yeah. If you watch that whole thing with good, evil, it's all right here. He pointed to the kid's eyes. Windows to the soul, boys. Take a peek. See the party. That dude had a creepy ass voice when he was trying to get Spawn to go to the dark side, really, and kill Billy Kincaid. Like, you could hear him in the background. You know, Spawn could probably hear him in his ear too.
He killed Billy, didn't he? Shot him. Right?
Yeah, he shot Billy.
Like, you gotta get with the fucking program.
He's like, I'm gonna get with the fucking programming.
He just shoots.
And that's what he said to Spawn when he kicked Spawn's ass. He was like, he said, "I got a word of advice. Get with the fucking program." It was so fucking creepy, man. And then
we never actually got to see Malboja in the animated series that I remember. I remember seeing him in the movie as a big horned.
Yeah, he didn't appear in the movie, not in the cartoon at all. You just heard his voice a little bit, and just the fire, really nothing.
I'd say this, even if, like you said, they decide to do like he's a specter appears, and maybe they could maybe not do a reboot. Like, let's say that some of this shit has already happened. I hope they do a recap, and I hope that they do, in particular, the scene where Spawn goes to the grave and digs his own body up, because for some reason, I don't know why, I find that scene so fascinating.
Well, they did it in the movie, and they did it in the animated series, and they did it in the comic book.
It's like he can't believe he's dead. Like, he just doesn't believe it, and he's like, "No, I'm not. There's no way I'm down there."
Yeah, no, it's not me, not me. He's like, I'm me. Even though you're like a foot and a half taller now,
got a
like
cape,
powerful,
glowing eyes,
got a cape that you can't take off. Yeah, but you're you though, right? Nothing that he's saying about hell can be true, right? But that was a lot of people don't realize that Spawn is his body, everything is totally different. He's taller, like Darth Vader when he got
transferred.
Yeah, everything was transferred. His soul was put into this vessel of killing, of a hell spawn, which is a play on word that he's not just a hell spawn. A spawn of hell. He's hell's pawn.
Hell's pawn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I don't know. No, that's the double meaning of hell spawn. That's your hell's pawn. And but if you're a chess player like me, what people don't realize is you can start off as a pawn, but if you make it to the end of the board, you can become any piece you want to, which is also one of the powerful pieces on the board if you advance yourself to the end. So when Spawn in the comic book, Spawn does a lot to. It was an interview I think that Todd McFarlane had where he said that if he can get his character Spawn to defeat the devil, and it was a real questionable line that he said afterwards. He's like, because in a lot of ways, God himself hasn't even done that. I'm like, yeah, but. Like, you're comparing an obviously made up character to a religion, whether or not you believe in God or not. People do believe in God, so you're gonna compare. I mean, even if both weren't real, there's more tangible. There's more of a feeling behind a religious being than a comic book being. So that was a very, very, very questionable thing for Todd to say. Like if I can get my character Spawn to kill the devil. God's never done that. Like, I thought that was going to backlash, but this was before social media and all that stuff. This was when the internet was young.
You can't win with a religious argument. If I had to throw my 2 cents in there, I'd be like, well, he doesn't have to. That's kind of the point. It's the balance.
Yeah, and in the comic book, spoiler again. I know we've been spoiling like crazy, but in the comic book, Todd depicted God and Satan like brothers instead of one creating the other. They're like brothers.
One necessitates the other. And
it's like, even though heaven has angels and supposed to be all these good things, it's still designed like, and I think they kind of were getting into this, what you were talking about to me off behind scenes about how heaven was kind of bending or breaking the rules.
Yeah, becoming assassins.
They were becoming more militant. In the comic book, that's how heaven always was. It's like they just had a good marketing campaign. Like they were like with the whole religion thing and the whole everything's good up there and stuff. But when you go there, it's like you are a slave. I own you. I created your soul. I own it. You're here in heaven now. You work for me. You have no choice. You do what I say. If you try to break that and go back to your free will shit and talk your shit, then you can go burn in hell.
I hope that's not the way it really is.
That's how heaven is kind of depicted. I mean, like even the old blind lady. I think you remember her, right?
Yeah.
And
She's kind of like that chick from Deadpool.
from Deadpool,
What's that smell?
when she died, I think I have this book when she dies of natural causes, and goes up to heaven, and she's like, oh man, it's like it's everything that I thought it would be, so beautiful. And then God was like, all right, okay, welcome to the army. You're here.
Wait. When she dies in the comic book,
in the comic
they show her dying in the show, but it didn't appear to be natural.
I think she got murdered, right?
Yeah, by an unseen force. It implied like it was the clown that killed her.
I can't remember if she was murdered again in the comic book or not. Maybe she was, but when she died, she thought that she was going. When she went to heaven, she for being a loyal, faithful servant of God. But the second she got there, I mean, it wasn't even a pat on the back or a welcome or anything, or you meet your loved ones. Welcome to the army. Let's start fighting these demons. It was just straight in the action,
like the Irish coming into the country.
Yeah, exactly. I think her eyes changed, and she was like zombified, and she had no more free will. That was it, and she had no choice. She was now a fighter now, and I think Spawn was pissed at that because Granny was like a lovely woman, and said you turn her into a soldier. Like I think he got pissed off with God with that. He was pissed off with Satan for obvious reasons and stuff. And then he just looked at both of you, like both of you guys are.
Fuck you both.
That's pretty much how he said, like both of you. Like, and then he turns his back on both of them, and it got weird. And I got to go back into it and read it again. But and I felt like that's where the animation was going with it. And when they talked about bringing the show back a couple years ago, I don't know if you heard about that. It was going to be HBO Spawn the animation. And they had a lot of test footage, and on the website,
really,
and I'm sure you can if you type in Spawn the animation, they had some like a trailer, like a teaser trailer of it and everything.
When was this?
This was like 5 years ago, 4 or 5. Like,
how did the animation look?
It was supposed to be like the same style, updated,
high definition
for the mid 2000s, maybe it was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
But Spawn the animation was supposed to follow, and it was probably going to continue. It wasn't going to be like season 4, but it was still kind of
season 3.5.
Yeah, it was probably going to continue after that to wrap things up. But they never, because the Spawn property was going down. Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think, was coming up, and everything was all movies now. I don't know, the deal just fizzled out.
If Deadpool can succeed, Spawn can succeed. I'm not saying Spawn will get the same success, and is not guaranteed, but it's possible.
I think if the Spawn movie succeeds,
that's what I'm saying. If I'm saying the Spawn movie can succeed, I'm not saying it will.
If a movie like Deadpool can be,
an R-rated comic infused movie. We have to have star power in it.
You got Jamie Foxx. The only problem that I'm scared about, because Todd is so insistent. People always think that because I created the thing and I know more about the character, that I'm the right person to write a movie script. But if you've never written a movie script, you don't have a history of writing. It's a different format. You know how to make a comic book. That doesn't mean you're going to also know how to write a novel or make a movie script.
Yeah, you can write a 100-hour novel, but can you turn that 100-hour novel into a 2-hour great movie? We need the art of condensing.
Yeah, exactly. Can a person who wrote one of the greatest movies in the world, like Shawshank Redemption, he probably would suck at making comic books. But it's a different medium, and I think Todd doesn't have respect for that. I think he gets so caught up in the fact that he wants to control everything, and it's his property, it's his right. But I would like
him involved in a Netflix series.
I think that's a better situation, because he knows that, because the way he handled it with HBO, he was highly involved in it. But you can transfer a comic book into a 30-minute or 20-minute show with no commercials or whatever. I think it's easier to do that, but he's not a movie creator. It was obvious in how he strong-armed Hollywood with that whole PG. I'm not saying that the rated R version would have been better anyway, but in the earlier interviews, Todd said that the question came up to him was, if Hollywood was to give you the $100 million right now, what would you do with it? This was before the movie came out. He was like, if you gave me the $100 million right now to make a Spawn property, I would make the whole thing the hardest rated R thing you ever seen in your life. It would be animated, and it would be something that either would be like a instant masterpiece that people would go crazy over, or it would flop and be a cult classic later on, but it would fucking shock the shit out of you. That was his original idea.
I'd watch that.
This was before the animated series, before the movie. He said if Hollywood gave him 100% control, he would have made that. The animated series was probably what we were supposed to get for the movie.
Oh, I love the animated series. It is so graphic.
Well, so now that everything's kind of calmed down, I think that M. Night Shyamalan has a good track record with coming back with Blumhouse and whatnot, and Blumhouse is doing all this good horror stuff.
Are you suggesting a Schlammerhammer Spawn movie?
Maybe, but no. Yeah, but I think that I think Blumhouse is the right move for Todd for this movie. I'm glad that he signed with Blumhouse. I'm just afraid that he's gonna start going back into, okay, now that my foot's back in the door, let me start fucking with shit and pissing everybody off and doing what I want to do and not what needs to be done, kind of shit. And it's gonna fuck with the integrity of the film. I think, yeah, fuck yeah. M. Night Shyamalan he's already crushing it with Split, and now The Glass is about to come out, and that other The Visit. All of his past couple of movies with Blumhouse have all been hitting.
Neil Blomkamp.
No. I know how I feel about that fucker. I keep him as far away as possible.
No, he's not a good guy for this movie. No.
But
Tim Burton might be. Tim Burton does some rated R weird shit.
Tim Burton would be good too. If this is a success, yeah, maybe, yeah.
I don't think it's really right for him personally.
I would give it to M. Night Shyamalan. I would.
I know he can do it. It's
you
almost
haven't seen Split yet, though, have you?
Yes, I have. The one.
What about The Visit?
The Visit. I've seen
and Devil. Like
the one about the elevator.
Yeah. Ever since they started giving Slammerhammer the littlest budget that they can, his creative juices have gotten better again. So his trajectory is coming back up again. So if Glass is a success, I say yes, give Spawn to him. I say give it to him.
Sure. And maybe it could be his masterpiece.
I'm just trying to keep it in realism. I don't think all these other big directors that's doing Star Wars and all this stuff, I don't think they would do a Spawn movie.
I'm trying to think of another one that would just be a fun to shoot in the dark. I don't know.
Maybe if we're going to focus more on Sam and Twitch and then kind of have Spawn in the background.
It's got to have dialogue.
Oh, yeah. What's his name that just got hired on Suicide Squad 2 from Guardians of the Galaxy? James Gunn.
Mr. Gunn. Yeah, maybe James Gunn.
Gunn would probably be a real good fit for Spawn.
Part of me is like Tarantino, but it's like that's not his genre.
It's because it's
but
not,
the conversations of like, can you imagine if Tarantino wrote a scene with Twitch and Sam? Like
the conversation would be in that case, give it to Kevin Smith. But I think that
actually Kevin Smith might be a really good idea.
Well, he's been doing a lot of TV shows too. He did an episode of Flash and stuff like that. Yeah,
but just imagine if Kevin Smith did Spawn.
I would give it to him. But Tarantino, Tarantino only does his original stuff. It's hard to convince him to do something that already exists. If he didn't invent it himself, he's not really going to be for it. But I would love it. You're right. I say just the dialogue with the detective stuff and the editing. The editing alone would be crazy. You know what? Fuck it. No, I think Tarantino would probably do a Spawn if
even if he's like, look, man, I just want you to do like one or two scenes for me, just the dialogue.
It's the problem with that is I just think the clash of the ego of I just see Todd McFarlane and Tarantino being the exact cut from the exact same cloth.
It's like I made the best part of that whole movie.
Exactly. I feel like Quentin Tarantino would come in with a badass limousine, and Todd McFarlane would find the biggest and baddest limousine after to come up there,
be butting their balls against each other,
trying to out McFarlane them each other.
They gotta have like music blaring when they walking in slow motion with chicks on their sides and fucking pit bulls out front.
Tarantino comes in like, well, let's see if I can rescue this franchise, and McFarlane's like, the creator's here.
Later, creator.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It would just be such a clash. I think those dudes would either they would be the best of friends and they would make the greatest magic in the world, or they would be the brutalest of enemies and was like,
I think
it's Hollywood for me.
I think Schlammerhammer is also very good with dialogue.
I think ever since he's been humbled by, ever since he couldn't live up to his own hype, I think he's now in a good space to do it. I think M. Night Shyamalan could work with Todd McFarlane. Well, you know what? Todd McFarlane seems like a nice guy. He's a good Canadian kid. Maybe he's a good guy to work with.
I think he's got a bad rep, but I think that a lot of that's probably exaggerated.
Probably like jealousy and shit like that.
Yeah, and I think if he was given another opportunity, I think he would sit and think hard. McFarlane, if they're like, all right, we're going to do this again, but shit has got to be real. You can't like.
I heard that he's already starting to act up. He wants to direct it. He wants to do it all. This and that.
Oh, the one with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Just let him write it. Shit.
Well, I mean, he can write. I don't have a problem with him writing it. I have a problem with him wanting to direct it and be like Bugs Bunny on first base, Bugs Bunny, third base, Bugs Bunny, third base, Bugs Bunny. I mean, I don't want him to do all that shit. I want him to sit back, let the professionals who make movies. I mean, you get a director that comes in and goes, I've gotten Oscars and Golden Globes and shit like that for all these movies that I've done. How many Oscars and Golden Globes have you got?
They're asking each other, oh, really? You know who has got an answer for this question? Mr. Oscar here knows the answer.
Yeah, exactly. When if Todd starts talking shit with like, this is my character, I know it through and stuff like that. Okay, well, how many Oscars did your last movie?
How many Oscars do you have, sir? Oh, none.
Todd's like, fuck you.
Fuck you, Tarantino. Fuck you.
I hope I'm wrong, man. I just feel like they would clash, but I feel like M. Night Shyamalan would be a great fit. I feel like Kevin would be a great fit because he's such a nice guy. He could just go. He's taken that shit before, you know what? But now that since he's had his heart attack, I'm hoping Kevin Smith's in
I think that would be an epic power team. Kevin Smith and Todd McFarlane.
He's got such a light heart. I think he can get along with everybody. But I'm hoping that ever since his heart attack, that Kevin Smith is all like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not no more Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know how much time I got left in this earth. I'm not gonna fucking kiss ass and be nice to all you fuckers who've been fucking with me lately. Like, look, I'm the guy for the job. Give me the fucking job or not. Take it or leave it. I feel like Kevin Smith has earned that because he's got this reputation of being such a great, nice guy. And then a guy like that, like the guy always says, it's always the good who die young, right? And a guy like that didn't deserve that huge. It was a widow maker of a heart attack that he survived. And,
that's what they call it, yeah.
And he so I feel now he's earned the right to like go to all those executives and be like, fuck you, it's my way now.
If he wasn't who he was and didn't have access to the medical facilities he did, he would have died.
He probably would have died, definitely, man. And
I would have died. I would have died.
Yeah, me too. I've seen his pictures lately too. He's a lot thinner.
Lost a lot of weight. But I'm sure they're like, dude, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're a little chunky. You need to lose some of that weight. And I'm sure he took it to heart.
Yeah. The whole thing about I just hope he's not losing too much. Like there's like something else.
No, he's probably got a personal trainer.
I hope he's working it out good. But I think Jamie Foxx is a good fit for what's the character's name? Not Sam. What's his name? Spawn.
Oh God.
Wanda and
Wanda was his chick.
Wanda was his wife. Wanda and I'm trying to remember his name.
The guy let's see here.
Was it? I think his friend was named Sam too. No, Jason Wynn.
It's Al Simmons. Al Simmons. Okay.
Al Simmons and his friend and Wanda married his friend. Now Chapel. Married his friend Terry Fitzgerald, I think. So Wanda became Wanda Fitzgerald from Wanda Simmons. Chapel.
Do you know who I want to play Chapel? Oh, go ahead, tell me, and I'll tell you.
Well, nobody's good. Chapel's not in Spawn anymore.
What?
Chapel was a creator of another Image comic artist for I think it was Wildcat or Wild or something. It was one of the people that came from Marvel to create Image. One of those guys. But Chapel was this other guy's creation, and Todd borrowed him to make a bridge between the comic books. Todd, I said, Todd borrowed that character Chapel from this other comic book, and had used that background, and then somewhere down the line in the army they met, became assassins together,
Damn.
and then Chapel was the one who betrayed
Yeah,
Spawn.
I would have had Terry Crews play him. Damn.
You would have to get that guy who because didn't they change? No, they didn't do this in the animated series. Okay, in the animated series they did the whole Chapel thing.
He got caught in the animated series and went crazy.
But in the comic book, when that guy who created Chapel left Image, I think he went to DC for a little while. They had to whitewash and retcon the Spawn's whole thing, whole history. So now the way it is now, and I don't know if they ever put it back, but the way it is now is Hell was fucking with Spawn's head so much that even the memories that were coming back were false. So Chapel never was the one who killed him and betrayed him and all that shit. It was another assassin somewhere else, and because Todd couldn't use the Chapel name anymore, and the guy didn't want Todd to use it anymore. So Todd had to create a whole.
Todd wouldn't pay him enough money.
Or it wasn't about the money. It was just, hey, this is my character. I mean, comic book guys, man, they're funny about that shit now, because that was the whole reason why they came up with Image. It was like, if I'm leaving, I'm taking my character with me. Like, oh no, you're not. Batman stays here. and
I'm sure it was a sit down talk, and they're just like, fuck it, whatever. All right.
Yeah. Me personally, I would. Depending on, I don't know. Depending on the blood, maybe there was bad blood between the two. It's like,
I would like to have seen Chapel in there just for continuity.
Chapel is such a fucking awesome character, but if I look it up, Chapel,
he's the dude who killed Al. I mean, it's like
not anymore.
I know, but for me, that's what Chapel. I didn't know he was gone. For me, he was a very significant part of Al's story.
Yeah, Image Comics Chapel. Was it? Chapel character. Let me look it up for you real quick.
And Spawn even made a point not to kill him.
Chapel is a fictional character, supervillain, comic book character appearing in books published by creator Rob Liefeld. Liefeld created the character in 1992 as a member of the government superhero group Youngblood. That was the comic book, which started in their series at the same time.
So he was just a crossover character.
He was a crossover character. At this point, Chapel was ordered by his superior to murder Al Simmons. The order was given because Al Simmons was a suspected spy. However, Al Simmons became the dark vigilante Spawn. Throughout his career, Bruce was instilled with several chemicals, or I guess Bruce is his real name. Unbeknownst to Chapel, he was also injected with a type of HIV, which could be activated by his superiors via a special serum. I bet that girl that he was smashing in season 1 wishes she should have known that.
I got that special HIV, baby.
One of Chapel's bosses, Jason Wynn, who had frequently feuds with Al Simmons, commissioned Chapel to kill Spawn. And while after Al Simmons' death, Chapel became a member of the Youngbloods. Let me go further down the history. Hellspawn, he awoke, and instead of becoming a Hellspawn, he became Lord Chapel. What the hell is this? Apocalypse and stuff. When he was separated from this creature, Chapel returned to the. I'm trying to see what Spawn eventually regained his memory of Chapel being his killer and began hunting around.
It roasted him with a damn flamethrower.
Missing skin, publishing history and other media.
It was under.
Go ahead.
It was Jason Wynn's order,
right,
to kill
Spawn. The second Chapel series published, but there was a whole separation. This isn't even referencing when Chapel was removed from the history.
But the point is, he's not in the comics now.
Oh, he's in. I mean, he's in Youngbloods. I mean,
but not anything to do with the later Spawn stuff.
Eventually, Spawn regained his memory. Chapel began his killer and began hunting him. Spawn ambushed Chapel. Well, we already saw. Okay, after he's continued to work with the Youngbloods for his time, he confronted extra. It's not even mentioned in that whole thing when they changed the history. Maybe they put it back, but I have the book.
Well, I'll also. The only thing I'll say is I hope that he is like a smidge part of it. At least, maybe if it's just the introduction of the character. If not, well, that'd be a shame. But if he did, I would like someone like Terry Crews to play him.
He would be a great Chapel. Terry Crews, it would be an awesome Chapel. I'm trying to see how did Spawn die. Here. Spawn is then captured and tortured by feed. What universe is Spawn from? Why did all right. I'm trying to find it that change. I think that Rob guy, Layfield guy, left the company. If I remember correctly. And let me see. Let's do this live. Rob Layfield leaves Image Comic Books. Let's see. Then I would have to go into a whole history of Rob Layfield. I don't got time for that. I'll look it up later. But I have the book when they decided to change it. But I think it was because Rob left. I think he went back to DC or Marvel or one of and Youngbloods had to go with it. And because of that, Todd had to change it.
Tony Todd. He would have been great as Chapel too.
Tony Todd from what?
Candyman.
Younger version of him, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying hypothetically, Terry can still do it, but I'm saying Terry back in the day, Tony Todd would have been a good Chapel too. He got that voice.
Shit, I would give Terry Crews Spawn.
Imagine that? You imagine that?
But if Chapel can still be used in the Spawn movie, yeah, Terry Crews. If I'm not mistaken, I think Terry Crews is cast in the Spawn book. Spawn book. In the Spawn, the new. Let's see. Let me say Spawn 2019 cast. So far, the only person that's mentioned is Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
I don't know why I saw something with Terry Crews in it. It would make sense. What if he's playing Terry, the guy who marries Wanda? And Jamie Foxx
he's doing a little boob twitch thing.
He's like, your husband couldn't do this. It'd be like snap into a Slim Jim. Like, Spice is so powerful to bring my old friend back from hell. How you doing, Jamie? That would be hilarious, man. But I don't know, man. I think if they keep it tight on what's going on with Sam and Twitch and make it a gritty detective kind of spooky horror. But Todd McFarlane has also said that he doesn't want Spawn to even be seen in only 10 or 20% of the movie.
I mean, that could work well. I mean, I don't know.
The movie is called Spawn.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have to be like a big scene, you know, like
you're like, Chris, you're talking some mad shit about my boy Todd McFarlane. I'm gonna have to see these interviews you're talking about.
I can see.
I get what he means, but it's just like
if that's the case,
they
better not show him in the previews. That's all I'm saying.
Right? If you see like a chain whip, like the way they did on the animated series, in the fist.
I mean, even in the animated series, you see him in a silhouette in the dark most of the time.
Mostly.
And every once in a while, he gets mad and rips his face mask off and like, look at me, old man. He's all crispified and shit.
I like the opening of that. Like the way he comes from the bottom. Like you know how like when the chain whips this way and then the fist punch that way, and then he comes up and he's all like,
he's roasting and shit. Yeah, he's in hell.
Fire takes over and he's Todd McFarlane Spawn. Oh, so you said you saw the version that was played on HBO?
I saw it. Well, when I was a kid, I saw it, or when I was in high school, I saw it sporadically, not in linear form. So I just would catch an episode here and there. I have no idea what's going on because I didn't watch it.
But you said Prime has shown
right now on Amazon Prime. It's got all 3 seasons, including the introductions by Todd McFarlane before the episode starts. So Todd McFarlane
would say, "And now Spawn." So
no, he would like have like 2 or 3 minutes to sit
down.
Yeah,
but right before the show would start, wouldn't he say something like, "And now
Spawn"? Yeah.
So turn off your lights,
right?
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
And the location would change between seasons. Like first season, like he's like in a room with a drawing board,
it was like boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the second season, he unboxed everything and shit like that. I wonder if it would have went to season 4, he'd have been sitting on a pile of money. Well, so now that I'm super rich now.
Season 3, he's like in the basement of a museum where there's all these artifacts, including a Spawn head.
Yeah.
And a burnt face. I guess it's supposed to be Al, but yeah. So.
I guess if they would have did that season now,
he's sitting up on a stack of money.
He's not sacking money and shit, or he can be talking about how broke he is now or something like pretend like he's like suffering or something. He's in a cemetery like. So there's some changes that's been happening since we last.
Because I'm broke.
I'm working part time here. Like you ain't broke, motherfucker.
I'm burying my career.
Like Todd McFarlane toys are like crushing it. Now he's got that Fortnite contract. He makes the official toys for Fortnite.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So Todd is not dumb. Todd realized that comic books were going down, so he created Todd's toys, Todd McFarlane's toys. And he got the Major League Baseball contract, football, basketball, all the sports people. So Halo. I used to check the website every now and then, but if you go to McFarlane.com or Spawn.com and look up the toys that he does, now he's got Fortnite, Major League Baseball players and stuff. And these toys stand up like. They're not like toys that you can play with them if you want to. But
he's
worth
like $300 million. Look at this.
Jeez.
With a net worth of $300 million.
Yeah. I'll bet you $10.
It's more.
That only that 250 million of that is from the toys. Bro. I bet you only like a piece of that is the Spawn stuff. Even though it was the number one this and that, I bet it made him a lot of money.
Back in the day.
Between 50 to 100 million of that is Spawn, and the rest is everything he's been doing around it. The dude is smart, man. He realized everybody else was like, I'm gonna be just doing my comic book stuff. All the other Image guys. Todd was like, fuck that, dude. I'm making toys.
I was like, all right, Blockbuster. All right, you guys do your thing.
Okay, Blockbuster. Oh, you don't want to transfer your books.
I'm gonna go with the Netflix guys.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we got to talk about that one of these days too. But that's a perfect metaphor for it. Yeah, you want to just keep drawing your comic books, right? You don't see this digital wave coming. Didn't you see Facebook? Facebook is here now. Shit's changing. But he was right. So he started making a bunch of toys and they're action figures. Really, they're not really toys. They're
action figures.
Yeah, right. But some good stuff, dude. Yeah, go check it out. Go to McFarlane or go to Spawn.com and it's
you should get some of those and put them in your background.
I will. You know what? I've never bought. I got a statue, but this is from Disney. That video game where you put the character on there and play it. And there's Samora from Star Wars.
Got to get some Generation 1 Transformers, some Thundercats, some Silverhawks, some He-Mans, some Ninja Turtles,
and some and some Sasha Grey, the doll.
Sasha Grey.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, it's going right over me.
It'll come to you. Yeah, you get it. Check it out. It's on Pornhub somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that movie. I love Spawn. Sean's got me excited about it again. Guys, hey, let me know what you guys think about Spawn and this, and send all your questions, comments, and concerns, anything you want to talk about. Whether it's Spawn or anything in the future. If you have a question you want us to talk about a topic, send it to t3medias@gmail.com, or you can reach us at any other social outlets, Facebook and whatnot, at T3Medias, or just comment here on YouTube. We're going to start doing these live. I'm going to do these like sporadically. I said uploads every Thursday and Saturday, but I didn't say anything about the live stuff. Live, anytime me and Sean are free, we'll just do it live. We'll do it live, and hopefully we can get a couple games in tonight. But until next time, guys, let's just what do we do, Sean? I haven't said it in a long time.
Watch the movies. Keep playing.
He's so rusty. He's so
watching the
rusty.
movies, playing the games, and killing the noobs.
Oh, he got it out. Peace, guys.
I don't even think I said it right.
Keep playing the games, watching the movies, and killing the noobs.